freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 293 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearms.com, your nationwide hometown gun shop. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is gun food. And our guest is Patrick Collins. He is the CEO of the GunFood.com, an economic, quick process ammunition supply company, and a contributing owner of Georgia Firearms and Security Training Academy. Patrick is also very active in supporting gun rights on the local, state, and national levels.
Welcome to the show, Patrick.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing?
We are awesome and excited to talk to you because what is the huge watchword for this time in our lives other than ammo, which is what you are referring to, I believe, when you say gun food. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct.
My guns are hungry right now.
Yeah, no doubt. We got a lot of hungry guns. That's the truth. And so what is happening with the ammo supply in the United States, and how are people supposed to effectively train when ammo is so scarce and unfortunately a little bit expensive right now?
Well, of course, there's no replacement for training with live fire. You really do need live fire. However, there are other ways that you can train. In addition to that, there are more successful ways of training and limit the amount of ammunition that you consume on your range time. So there are different drills that you could practice. Understanding reset. If you follow a reset drill versus a mag dump drill, you definitely would save ammunition there. So there's different ways that folks need to learn how to shoot differently.
Very good. So as people all around the nation are hearing you say that, maybe that's a question they could ask a new trainer that they're considering hiring to help them, and that would help them also narrow down, who might be the best trainer for this particular moment in history. Is that reasonable?
Oh, that's definitely reasonable. There are very different ways to train, just like there are different ways to learn, and everybody learns differently. So one of the things I tell most of my students is get to know your instructor or your trainer. A lot of folks have former military and former law enforcement, and I'm not knocking them by any means, but their primary objective when they were in their capacity was to serve a certain purpose. For the military, it was to defend the country, both foreign and domestic. For law enforcement, it was to serve and protect the communities. Their training, the way that they were trained is very different as well. A lot of military has discipline-based training, where it's basically enforced through strong words. But your average 70-year-old woman does not necessarily need to have drilled into her how to shoot. She needs to learn how to operate her firearm in a safe manner, which is very good.
Absolutely. And then I think you kind of touched slightly on how personality of the trainee and the trainer, it really is important that's a fit, that there's a good mesh there. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important do you think that might be?
Oh, it's extremely important, especially if you are truly concerned with everything that is happening. If you're looking to defend yourself and in a self-defense situation, and you're dealing with someone who is, former special forces that knows how to get the job done, but they don't know how to relate to some of the laws that you might have to deal with afterwards. To a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? So special forces person, I mean, yeah, if the objective is to neutralize a threat, sometimes their version of neutralization is very different than what yours needs to be as a self-defender.
Boy, that is really key. And it's not like we want to be, we want to dumb anything down, but we do want to feel like our needs are really being met, and we're not just, another cog being put in the same wheel, and we're having to conform to the trainer, that the trainer can really understand, where we live is important. The kind of home we live in is important. How we carry, where we carry is important in how we train. I wear a lot of dresses. I dress very feminine, and I never open carry. So if I go to a trainer and all he knows how to teach is open carry, that's not going to be the best fit. So I think there are an awful lot of things to consider.
Yeah, I recommend to all instructors. Now, I've been through all different instructors. I am not former military myself. I am taught through competitive shooting. But when I tell some of my instructors, hey, you're probably not teaching this correctly, even when I am in their classes, some of them take offense to it. Some of them actually take it back and say, hey, you know what? You're right. I should not be yelling at
Yes, please.
Dawn or
Please,
Susan.
no yelling.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite.
Because a lot of times they rely on, just regurgitation of authority. And that's not a good way of learning, especially when you're trying to walk down the street with a smile. I mean, not everybody who has a gun is sitting there growling, waiting to shoot somebody. I mean, that's not what we're here for.
Not what we're here for. Absolutely.
So Patrick, you wanted to, before we started the show, you wanted to talk about the legendary gun counter tales and myths.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
And we have a gun
yes.
shop, so we have a few
Yes.
of our own. We were
Yes.
very curious about this.
I'm sure you guys are aware of my first biggest issue when it comes to gun tales, which is what you need is a revolver, and you need this 44 Magnum, and you'll stop this guy right then and there.
Right. Yeah.
There have been so many classes that are like that, or especially with women shooters. And this is the biggest one that's mostly up and coming, is the shrink it and pink it motions now, where it's just like, use the smallest gun possible that will be cute and it fits in your purse and this and that. And the next thing you know, they bring it to my range, and I'm like, okay, let's see how well you control this tool that you're trying to use to defend yourself. And they are letting it blow them away. And I'm like, listen, it's gonna scare you. In fact, I recall I had this young lady, and I knew she could handle it. I knew she was a very strong-minded woman who wanted to protect herself. And she said, I bought a little 22 because that's all I can handle. And by the end of it, by God, she was putting holes with 45 through the same hole. Wasn't afraid of using any firearm that I had there ready for her to use. And she was like, you're right, I don't need this 22 anymore. I need something bigger.
Well, back in the old days, in the late 70s, I had a gun shop, and it was completely different back then. First of all, women never walked in the store. If they did, they were picking up ammo for their husband. And, so it was a myth.
So sexist,
Right.
now.
Well, that's what it was.
Okay, all right.
You have to.
You're just
talk
relating news.
This
I get
is
it.
what it was. And so, we had the mindset that a woman needs a revolver because they're not going to shoot very much, and they're going to need something that when they pull the trigger, it goes off, and they're going to be weak, and they're not going to be able to rack a slide back. But back in the 80s, we had a very limited type of firearms anyway. The Glock had just come out. So they had the Glock, and Smith & Wesson had the Model 39, I think it was, that was a little hard to pull back. But, things have changed now. And I mean, I've changed a lot. In our shop, we do not fit a gun to a person. We let the person come and tell us what they want. And we try to educate them to go out, and we don't have a range, but we tell them to go to a range, shoot a couple of guns, find something that fits you. Don't listen to your husband, and find the gun that fits you comfortably. And then the main thing is to do is get training.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right there.
Yeah, we lead with questions, so that we can help them, discover for themselves what is the best fit. And that whole pink it and shrink it thing, that
I might want a pink gun.
this is true. Absolutely. And like our daughter, she loves all the colorful different guns. I'm very tactical black because I'm like, I don't if I need to use that thing, I don't want it, glinting in the light somehow and giving away my position. But when a gun is small, that seems good, right? Because maybe my hands are smaller, I'm trying to hide it in a small purse or whatever the case may be. But also, if it is a large caliber, there is less bulk of the metal to absorb the energy of that projectile going off. And it hurts sometimes to shoot some of those smaller guns, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I tell most of my students when they're firing for the first time, if they've never fired before, this will be a sensation that you've never felt before. However, in the heat of a moment, you're going to make sure that you're using it correctly. I always have a rubber mallet with me, and I go ahead and pick up this rubber mallet, and they pick up the rubber mallet as if they're going to use it. They grab it by the handle, and I say, that's the exact same way I want you to handle a firearm by the time we're done with this lesson. And they after a full-blown lesson, they're like, you're right, I need to handle this. This can't be just something cute that I want to hold with a couple of fingers that I'm afraid of. No, if I am going to use this and deploy this weapon, I better have a good grip. I better have a nice stance. I may not be able to even get to that point, but I got to make sure I have to control where that barrel is pointed and make sure I'm effective when I'm using it.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that analogy and living that out of, okay, a hammer, I'm familiar with that. I know when I use that hammer that I can't, have a very soft grip or, I have to, really get a good hold on it. That's an excellent way, I think, to convey that. So determining which tool is best for each individual person is sometimes, difficult. It's a journey for people, but determining what ammo, what caliber you want that tool to be, that's a whole lesson in itself. We've got aluminum versus steel versus brass. You've got,
Do we even get a choice nowadays?
well, there's that. Is it available? Is it an expensive round, caliber? So how do we navigate that whole piece of the journey?
Okay, so the first thing you need to do is identify your objective, right? Are you using it for training purposes, or are you using it for when you want it to count, you need it to count, right? That's your defensive purpose. A lot of folks, they get very picky when it comes to their ammo. And I understand that some ammo does not feed as well, some ammo doesn't shoot as well. However, if you are at a static range, practicing on a static target, controlled environment, it really doesn't matter. As long as they allow you to use steel, you can use steel. If they allow you to use aluminum, some ranges actually don't allow you to use aluminum, which is really unusual. But if they allow you to use aluminum, go ahead and use aluminum. If they say only brass, use brass. There really is no difference between bang and the objective is to punch holes in paper at that time. Now, when it comes to defensive purposes, you do not want to use a full metal jacket because of over-penetration, and we know what happens with that. Basically, the round will not transfer the energy into the subject that you're shooting or into the target that you're shooting, in which that can become a bigger issue because you can have clean shots, clean through and through, which when you're not transferring that energy, you're not as effective in stopping your target. Yes, you are wounding them, but you're not stopping the target. You're not transferring that energy. And then as far as caliber sizes are concerned, 9mm and 45 have been around for a very, very long time, since the early 1900s. 40 was an up and growing caliber back in the early 90s. However, when the 9mm technology really started to develop with the defensive jacket hollow points and just hollow point ballistic development in general really helped out. 9mm is as effective as pretty much any other round that's out there. And then you got the 380s as well. 380s work pretty well at stopping. Not my personal first preference, but 380s do work. And then, of course, you get like, the 5.7s and the 10mm and, the bigger rounds, the 38s and the 44 Magnums and stuff like that. Those will work as well. However, just because it's bigger or faster doesn't always mean it's better.
Oh, absolutely. And, you touched on a couple of words that, depending on where you live, these phrases might have taken on a sinister sound, like maybe in the city or the state in which you live.
Jacketed hollow point.
Oh my goodness, right?
Yeah.
And my rule of thumb for my own life is if someone is trying to cause me to feel afraid of a particular thing, that just makes me want to go and do my own research. Like, okay, what is it? This is probably something that's really good for me, but they're trying to scare me off for some reason. And so what is the benefit of something, this sinister sounding thing called a hollow point bullet?
So when you are using your firearm and you're operating it to defend yourself, different from a range time where you're just trying to punch holes through paper, or you might be shooting a watermelon or whatever you're shooting. It's basically, you're just going to go through, right? However, jacketed hollow points are designed to cup and open up and blossom open. And what happens there is you're transferring that linear energy into the media that you're shooting it into. So it's designed to transfer the energy. And I know there are some states, New Jersey and New York, I could think of off the top of my head, where they're trying to say that jacketed hollow points mean that you're trying to kill somebody. That's not true. You have a lot bigger things to worry about legally than the type of ammunition that you use to defend your life. You're trying to justify why you defended your life, not with what you defended your life with. That's just like saying, well, he hit me with a school bus instead of a Ferrari, and it's completely irrelevant. And hopefully, juries, and if you do bring it down to the case level, hopefully they'll understand that the type of ammunition is irrelevant. It's action that caused you to have that reaction that's more relevant.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that you should learn about in your training, from my own perspective, is just that very thing. So if you are using, a friendly sounding projectile, a friendly sounding ammunition bullet,
Ball ammo.
yes, and it does over penetrate. Okay, you've got bad guy broke into your home. Your goal is to protect your life and the lives of your family members. And so if you shoot bad guy to stop him, to stop the threat, and that ammunition passes through him instead of stopping him and stopping with him, well, where is that going to go? That might go and then harm the exact family member that you are trying to protect, right? And so these are things, yes, over penetration can be a very unsafe and deadly thing for the people that you're actually trying to protect. And so I just encourage people not to buy into the PR that, well, this bullet is nice and friendly and good, and that bullet is bad somehow.
Well,
right?
you need to use ammunition that will stop the threat, not wound the threat, not slow down the threat. In some states, you cannot shoot somebody purposely in the leg to stop them.
Right.
It's against the law.
Yeah.
You have to, your life is in danger. You are to stop the threat, not slow it down, stop it. And I don't think that there's any police departments that I'm aware of that use ball ammo for in their duty guns, except for training, because they have to stop the threat, right?
It needs to be a true stop. That's correct.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we don't want to use the word to kill someone,
but you're
but
stopping
to stop
the threat.
them from causing you any harm.
Absolutely. That's never our goal.
No.
Our goal is protection of life,
Right,
right?
right.
So,
They put
That's right.
themselves in that position,
absolutely.
right? It's on them.
So, getting back to like, your friends, your husband, your neighbors, your trainer who, they maybe have an area of expertise and they, want to impart their knowledge. That's all good. That's good stuff. But sometimes the way that they do it can actually be a little unhelpful. And so, how would you say, how bad is it when well meaning people begin a sentence with, what you need to buy is.
Oh boy, I love when I hear that all the time. I have students that will come to me and just be like, "Well, I was told I needed to buy this or that," whether it's I'll use the analogy of a revolver again, or I need to buy a 38 because that's the biggest cartridge that they have, or whatever gun tales that there is about it. Unfortunately, there's no way that we can control that, right? I mean, we all were in school at one point in time and we were told to speak a certain way, right? And everybody now has these different accents. So everyone's learning is slightly different, which is okay because the end objective is we all understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the way, if you were to go to an overseas place, sometimes they may not understand you. And the same thing happens with firearms. Just because you were told that it's a certain way doesn't mean that it's always right, especially during applications. So yes, I recommend holsters for everything. I recommend the biggest caliber that you can carry and successfully, deploy towards your target. But I am not going to tell you that 9mm is better than 45, or you need a revolver instead of a semi-auto pistol. I'm not going to tell you that. Whatever you control the best.
That's great. And so just circling back to the business and the business name, which I just love. I think it's so clever. TheGunFood.com. What is that exactly? Are you like a broker? Are you helping other people find ammo? Are you an ammo manufacturer? What exactly does thegunfood.com do?
So I used to compete can I use the C word on here? Pre-virus.
Yes.
So pre-virus, I used to compete. And then when the virus struck, I was still receiving my shipments for my competitions, right? So, 4,000 to 5,000 rounds a month. And so I started to stack up and I said, hey, slow down a little bit here. I'm not competing as much, so I'm just kind of sitting on this ammo that I can't even shoot because I can't.
He said slow down on ammo receiving.
He said it was before
you
the
need
COVID
to immediately
crazy.
get off the phone right now and go to the doctor. Okay.
Yes, I know. And I kind of regret because I know what I was buying it prior to.
Yes.
But essentially I was starting to stack up on this ammo and I had all different types. I shot in 3-gun competitions. I shot in USPSA for handguns. But now when I started teaching, because teaching came back before competition came back, I would go out and make these connections all across the country. So I make connections with different ammo reloaders, ammo suppliers and distributors. In fact, I have a Phoenix ammo shirt, which have been in the news recently. But I've been making these connections with these manufacturers. And when you're trying to teach, 100 people in Texas or 2,000 people in Detroit, it is very hard to get that much ammo for them, especially if you're 25 to 50 rounds per student. So you make these connections with these distributors, you stay in connection with them, and then you start networking. Now I have instructors that I've worked with all across the country that are like, hey, I have a class of 20 people and need ammunition for them. Can you help me out? 20 people might be 4,000 rounds. I can do 4,000 rounds. You just let me know when I need to ship it.
Absolutely.
Nice.
That
is very good.
You're going to be a super popular guy if you're not already. So
Yeah, it's been very busy. In fact, little scared that Uncle Sam's tax season is coming up now.
Mhm.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm worried about
Yeah,
that too.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Been a good year.
Yeah, it has been a good year. Oh my, and Uncle Sam is about to reap the benefits of our labors,
But
right?
and that's really smart. I mean, you're helping the community with trainers that need ammo to train students. It's not like you're helping Joe get ammo. You're helping trainers get ammo to help the students be trained, get
Yes.
training. Right?
And one of the things that I really enjoy about it too is that these instructors were also connecting me with their students prior to even them going to class. And then I can inject my little tidbits of, you know, this is what you're going to need for the range when you shoot, and this is what you're going to need to load your firearm with when you have it staged for defensive use. And they're like, what does that even mean? And I said, well, ask your instructor, but I'm telling you right now, you're going to need 2 different types of ammo. This is not a simple, you know, a bullet is a bullet. No.
Are we seeing any break? It seems to me that there has been a little more ammo coming in lately. Have you seen any break at all?
Yes, so the prices are starting to come back down on certain calibers. 9mm is starting to bring it back down. I know it reached a peak of about 70 cents, and right now it's somewhere in the 60, 65 cents, depending on the round and manufacturer. What really stopped the manufacturers from producing as much ammo was, of course, the influx of new shooters, which we've had quite a bit in the past year. I don't know what the official number is, but I know it was, as of August of last year, I think it was 8 million new firearms owners, and it's projected to be around 14 million new. So you can just imagine if 14 million new people are like, hey, I need as much ammo as you do. Well,
Even 2 boxes. That's
yeah.
that's 28 million boxes of ammo in a year. That's probably more than what they've sold the whole year.
Yeah.
You know, so
Exactly. And then you have the elections, which always ramp up ammo demand. And then you have some, I'm in downtown Atlanta, where we have a lot of crime, and crime is on the rise here. So you have folks that are like, you know, I kind of need firearms to protect myself. And in some cases, it is true. And so all of these demands are starting to bring are being mixed into the pot. In addition to the fact that manufacturers had COVID restrictions,
right.
So they don't have the same production that they used to have. Their employees do not feel as safe working in the environments. You know, a lot of ammo manufacturers are, you know, folks that are either immunocompromised or sometimes even just, you know, they don't want to be around people. So manufacturers that had that issue, and then the component supply, that's another big one. Where we receive a lot of primers from China, unfortunately. And when trading stock with China, that caused a little issue. So whole bunch of things. It's like a perfect storm that has made ammunition very hard to get.
Right.
Absolutely.
They're making them.
Just to clarify, because everybody loves to misunderstand things and take things out of context, when you say that elections always cause people to buy more ammunition, what do we mean by that? I think it means, and you tell me if I'm right or not, that there's always in recent history, the last few decades, there's always a platform that is trying to come after our guns, right? And somehow restrict our rights. And so before the election happens, before we know who's gotten in, I think that there's this rush to try to make sure, okay, I want to be sure my reserves are good. Is that your understanding of it?
Absolutely, yes. So yes, I mean there are folks out there, whether they are right or wrong, that believe that gun rights can be taken away, and I definitely feel as if they can be taken away at a moment's notice. They could be wiped away. However, what folks will do in reaction to that is either overbuy and hoard, or they'll even some of the folks on the opposite side that don't think your gun rights will be taken away will still go out and buy a firearm and be like, well, I don't want to risk it, knowing that it could be taken away. I had some friends, some personal friends of mine that actually went out who were not supportive of firearms, but knew and understood the threat of the potential of firearms being taken away, and they went out and bought firearms just to have them. And so this perfect little mix of anxiety has caused everybody to go out and say, I need is whatever I can get, I need.
Yeah.
But we see also the guys that, that buy the ammo, they wait in line at a Walmart and then they go and sell it for 10 times the amount that they paid for it. That's not really helping the industry. And, gun shops, like our gun shop, our ammo has gone way up, but it's because I'm buying it from the secondary market.
Mhm.
I'm buying it from people that had it already, and I'm paying what I have to pay to get it. And I'm actually making less money per round than I was when I was buying it for $9 a box.
Mhm.
And so it's like, it's bad all the way around. I wish, to me, people say, oh man, you're lucky, you're doing well. And I said, you know what? I wish it was just normal. Just make it normal. If a guy needs ammo, he can come in and buy ammo. I want to have a
Yeah.
pallet of every brand, every caliber of ammo on my floor, and that people could just walk in and buy it. I don't want this demand like it is right now, because it's not, I don't know. It's just,
It makes it harder to
Yeah.
do business, but yet it's not unpleasant to have lines out the door. I'm not gonna.
It's
I
not
mean, I am a
unpleasant,
capitalist
but,
pig, so.
Yeah, you did bring up a good point though about big box retailers, and that's something I definitely want to touch on is some of these big box retailers, the Walmarts, the Academies, the I don't want to mention the D word, but how about another one? Those guys, they have contractual agreements with ammo suppliers, and folks forget about that, and they don't really understand the economics behind it. So when those guys are selling you a box at 20% less than what you or I might sell them at, it's because they have these contractual agreements where they have a minimum that needs to be purchased, and that's all that they're getting. That's also why they also have restrictions on how much ammo you can buy at some of these big box retailers, because they're trying to spread the amount of foot traffic that goes in and out of their doors. And so I get a lot of folks that are like, well, I could wait outside of blah, blah, blah sporting store and get, 2 boxes at $13. So why are you charging me $35? And it's like, because they have these contractual agreements that these big, huge 18-wheeler, 53-foot trucks deliver ammo to them. And eventually their contracts are going to end up, and their negotiation teams are working hard to drive down the cost as much as they can. However, eventually their prices are going to go up too, because of the amount of demand that we have and the lack of supply that we have.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, but myself personally, $13 a box versus $39 a box, but I wait for 4 hours outside. I'll just pay the $39.95. Just make sure I can have it though.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Wait in line and then it's gone when you get there. That is the worst.
I hate it when I don't have product for my customers. I just hate it.
Yeah. When lines really were, what would we say, maybe 6 months or so ago, when lines, every morning there was a line outside of our store, we would try to, have one of our staff members go and pull the people in the line, and just, if there was somebody, 40 people back, and we knew that by the time we got to them, if what they were kind of trying to get was 9mm, we would try to advise them, there's a chance, but you're probably, not going to be able to get it from us today. And people really seem to appreciate that we didn't just, let them squander their time just so that we would have the foot traffic. But all that takes thought and time and that sort of thing. And not every store's got, the ability to do that. But thankfully, we did. And Danny was pretty dang good about keeping stuff on
I
the
was so
shelves.
blessed. I was able to get ammo. One guy it's an individual, had 14,000 rounds of 9mm. Called me up, says, I need to sell my ammo. I want to get out of guns. And he sold me the 14,000 rounds of ammo. And I paid a lot for it. I mean, a lot more than I would for my distributor. I mean, like 3 times what I would pay from a distributor, but we were able to have ammo
Mhm.
and no limit ammo. And then I'm out of 9 now. I get maybe a case a week from my distributor. 1 case a week lasts the first 2 hours of the day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm starting to see a variety of ammo and things seem to be breaking free a little bit. Plus, the demand isn't as strong. There aren't people waiting in line at the store anymore, so that's kind of good. So I hopefully we'll see it get back to normal because from what I understand, like Federal, they're running the presses 24 hours a day. You
Mhm.
know, it just takes time. They're not holding back.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. So, you and I, actually, all three of us, are going to be in Florida in a very short amount of time at an event put on by Florida Carry. It is called Freedom, Not Fear. It is a speaker event. It is happening on Saturday, March 20th in Summerfield, Florida, which is near Ocala, which is sort of near Disney World. Everything in our life has to do with Disney something, so I've always got to anchor it there. Um, Tell us how you got involved in this event and a little bit about it and what you plan to share there.
So one of the main event coordinators there, Kevin Sona from Florida Carry, and we had a breakfast one morning when we were at the gun rights policy conference. She was in Arizona.
Hmm.
And so we've both been kind of following each other and helping each other out. I am a member of Georgia Carry, which I guess you can call, uh, Florida Carry and Georgia Carry brothers and sisters, since they are just south of us. And basically, we decided that, you know what, it might be nice to have myself go down there and speak to some of the folks about different things, especially when it comes to instructing. Now, when I spoke at the Gun Rights Policy Convention this year, I definitely hit on the head some of my instructor level gripes, if you will. And so he wants me to speak to some of that down there, as well as there's a diversity panel, which I believe you are either moderating or,
I
yeah,
am. I'm
looking
super
forward to that.
excited. Moderating panels is one of my favorite things ever. So, and to have you on there is just like bonus.
Oh yeah, I am looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. We have a very diverse group on this panel here, and we're going to talk about all different things of whatever comes up, and each one of us has our own take on it, and that's what I'm looking forward to, is showing folks that, there are different opinions, and that for the overwhelming majority, that we all are pro 2A. We all are looking to self-preservation, self-defend, and we are here to help each other out. So that'd be nice.
Fantastic. Yeah, I am so looking forward to that. Um, Part of the reason is because it has been so long since we have had a chance for people to actually be face to face, right? Because this past year, gun rights policy had to go virtual, and so many events either were canceled or went virtual. And as we were, gearing up for this, I kept seeing Kevin Sona, as you mentioned, of Florida Carry, on our chat thread saying, I am going to make this happen out of sheer force of will, that we are going to meet in person and have this moment, because I think it is the most impactful way to help people understand anything that you're trying to convey to them. And when you have something like gun rights in a year where there's such a concerted effort to create division and misunderstanding with all these new gun laws they're trying to push through at the federal level, and all the different states that are trying to play that game, to have people come together and share and exchange ideas, I think that is invaluable. And so I appreciate Kevin for putting this on, and for everybody that's traveling. You're just coming from Georgia, you say?
Yes, yes.
And we're coming from Arizona, so we win the mileage game. But
yeah, but we're going. We're not going to just do that. So don't let her fool you.
no, we are definitely going to take some time and enjoy that beautiful state. So, um, I am just excited that you took the time. You broke down, Patrick, some of these questions and issues that maybe people don't ever even think about, how one caliber might be better or worse for their particular instance of need than another. How to interact with trainers. These are such important things. And I so appreciate you taking the time and coming on here with us today. Could you tell folks, just as we're wrapping up, how they can continue to follow you, and if they're a trainer, how they can get connected with you at thegunfood.com?
So I always recommend everybody to visit thegunfood.com. And one of my accolades was I had well over 4,500 email subscriptions on the site, even before I launched it back in August of last year. So I had 4,500 folks that put their email in saying, we want ammunition, with a website that said coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
You go there and you put if you put your email in, we send out monthly emails with discounts and with just general knowledge, general information. Go there, sign up, shoot us an email. I have 3 people that work for me. We respond very quickly. And most of our orders, if you do place an order with us, it goes out that same business day. A lot of people are surprised. In fact, I had one customer who received his ammo. He ordered it, I think it was a Thursday night at 8 or 7:30 p.m. Got it out the door before UPS closed, and he received it at 8 o'clock the next morning.
Wow.
Oh, you had a happy customer.
He was like, I can't believe that your ammo came this quick. And I said, neither can I.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's phenomenal. So we've got your website, gunfood.com. Are you on social media sites at all?
So I am not on social media right now, besides my personal stuff, which I feel free to add me if you want. My name is Patrick Collins. But social media right now has been blocking and very much deterring any type of pro 2A anything. They do not want to promote violence in any shape or matter or form, or what they consider violence, which is really, really upsetting for me. But yes, I am on YouTube. We do have a YouTube page where we demonstrate some of the differences. In fact, we just did a body armor demonstration on YouTube, and that's called thegunfood.com. If you look up thegunfood.com, you'll see us up there, or the Gunfoodie. I'm sorry, the Gunfoodie, because I also like food too.
That's such a great, clever twist on that. So the YouTube, any other places people can find you?
No, just our website. If you sign up for emails, you'll receive the emails, and the Gunfoodie on YouTube. Those are our 2 main places right now. We're trying not to support Facebook in their efforts to mute us. So you look for us there.
Fantastic. Well, we so appreciate you, Patrick Collins, CEO of the gunfood.com. I will see you soon in Florida.
All right. See you.
Thanks, Patrick. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Thank you. And you know what? I keep forgetting to say, because we've done a couple of these interviews about the event happening in Florida. This is the year 2021, because sometimes people will listen to these shows, like 3 years later or whatever, and then they get excited about an event coming up. Might be a little too late. So that is March 20th. It's a Saturday of 2021. Tickets and information available through Florida Carry. Their website, their Facebook pages, that sort of thing. And it's going to be a great day of some really high-level speakers. The diversity panel that Patrick is talking about, whenever I'm involved in something called a diversity panel, it's not just, that surface level, oh, we're going to have a bunch of different skin tones sitting up there. No, we're talking about diversity of life experience, diversity of training, diversity of, their own personal experience. These are subject matter experts that come from a wide variety of backgrounds. That's what we mean by diversity. And I am telling you, the Second Amendment advocacy and activism community is a slice of America. It's a slice of Americana. It's every man, it's every woman. It really is.
Not just the old white-haired guy anymore, is it?
It isn't. I don't know that it ever really was, honestly. Do you think it ever really
Yeah,
was?
I kind of do. I think that it might have changed in the late 80s,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, what really gave the gun industry a big boost is women,
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
because women share.
Mm-hmm.
Men kind of keep to themselves. They might have a friend that they share with, but they kind of keep to themselves. But women, if they do something, they tell the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has caused it, and that which got other people involved.
Yeah.
That so it helped. So
Yeah. Women are very social creatures. We like to, well, I mean, we even go to the restroom in pairs, right? So,
the guys don't do
uh,
that.
yeah, they don't tend
No.
to, no. But I sometimes I think you're right that, maybe there wasn't always the same level of diversity. And in other ways, I think that maybe there was the diversity, but there just wasn't as much of a need to talk about it publicly, talk about our interest and our protection of our Second Amendment rights, our Bill of Rights, our Constitution. But the more that this became a politicized issue, because the Second Amendment is not a political issue. It is completely apolitical. It is for everyone, but it has been turned into this political football that the R's and the D's are, kicking back around all over the place. So the more politicized it became, I think the more that people realized, I want to be recognized as existing, right? Female gun owners. We exist. We're out there. People in the LGBTQ community, they're like, no, we do own
Yeah,
guns.
but
We,
I think that
Asians
the
and blacks and
LBJQ, whatever that organization, I can't say it right, but you think about that organization, that it wasn't the gun thing that made them become part of it. I think is more the political issue about their rights to be whoever they want to
Mhm.
be, which then they go, well, wait a minute, we have that right. We also have the rights to defend ourselves, which we need to defend ourselves because there was a lot of hate for that group at one time.
Yeah.
And so, and the good thing about it is everybody gets to protect themselves. They have a right to protect themselves.
Exactly.
And so I still think, I think the political issue, the political part of it was true. That's what caused all this expansion. It wasn't the gun issue though. It was just everything, all rights.
Yeah, I've been saying that for years that if you have ever been part of any group that has suffered, um, you know, any kind of subjugation, then you should be on the front lines fighting for every single syllable of every single constitutional right, including your right to keep and bear
Right.
arms. If you've been discriminated against in any form, uh, that this is your issue. It's a civil rights issue.
And if you have a right to be who you want to be, then you also have the right to defend yourself. And you need to make sure that if you're fighting for your rights, you have to fight for every right,
Hmm.
not just speech,
Hmm.
not just gun ownership,
Hmm.
but the right to be who you want to be,
Hmm.
the right that your neighbor can't infringe on your right to be who you want to be.
Hmm.
That's what you need to do.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think is happening. And that's why I think that the gun movement is getting stronger, because it's the core.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, what a great conversation. What a fun day this has been. I want to thank our guest today, Patrick Collins, CEO of thegunfood.com, and also thank all of our listeners. You are the most amazing people that you take your time to tune in to hear subject matter experts. You're educating yourself straight from the experts' mouth. You're not just relying on, this pre-chewed and partially regurgitated nonsense that passes as news these days. You've taken the time to spend here learning. Many of you, I can see the stats on our website, are then going to the guest page, the guest tab on gunfreedomradio.com to learn more about each guest, and then click through and read about if they've written a book or if they've done other interviews or their videos they've made or whatnot, that tells me that this is a launch pad. These conversations are a
Sure.
launch pad for people educating themselves. And there can be no better compliment in my mind to the work that we do and to the people who take the time to come on as our guests. So thank you so much. And so if you want to watch any other of our videos that are archived, you can watch on the smartphone app called Ops Lens, OPSLINS. You can go to YouTube as long as they haven't booted us out the door. And you can go to Gunstreamer, which is a YouTube style, but very pro to a video hosting site. And for the audio only, if you don't have time to watch us have these conversations and you just want to listen as you're mowing the grass or you're taking a Sunday drive or cleaning the house or whatever it is you're doing, just go to our website, GunFreedomRadio.com, click the On Demand tab, and
You can binge listens to your heart content,
oh, you did so good.
darling.
No, I don't say darling. He always says I say darling. I
Well,
don't. I mean, I have. But anyway, it's a great resource. Thank you so much for spending time there. And as we get on out of here,
pray for our nation.
mhm,
Pray for our
leaders, representatives,
representatives. You say
people in
leaders
positions
again.
of
No, don't ever say
responsibility.
leaders. We don't have leaders, and we're not supposed to have leaders. We're
I
supposed to have
agree.
representatives.
I agree. It's true. We are the leaders of our representatives. So pray
Who's
for
the leader of the club? It's made for you and me.
that's us. We're
We're the
the
leaders.
citizens because the government only has the power that they derive from the governed. So we're the leaders. So yes, you can still pray for the leaders because that's us.
We got the
right?
power.
We got the power. Okay, now it's going to be stuck in my head. All right. And so what about if there's some representatives or leaders or whoever that you don't like?
Vote them out.
Can we still pray for them
Oh
though?
yes. Well, yeah. Pray that they get a job afterward. Pray they get another job.
What about the maybe especially the ones we don't like? We should pray for them.
Pray for them. Vote them out.
Okay.
Pray for them.
All right. Until next time, be good to each other. Have a great week and
God bless.